is going to replace Mark as Mr. Moore. She will be Mr. Moore. Lower your voice.
Right.
Eric will be Mr. First, and I will be the witness. And I forget who the witness is. Joshua Gerard. Yeah, this is redirect. So the witness has already been sworn. Christie, you getting there?
I am.
Yeah, where is Christie?
Oh, sorry, I should have shared this information. She is not here. No, she went to, I believe, to Nashville for Thanksgiving. So
What?
this whole
What
week.
kind of pokey student is she?
I know, really, she's always not
She
here.
is never gonna make it through
I
this
know,
year.
bless her heart.
You all set?
Okay, let's go.
Further questions? Redirect?
Yes, Your Honor. Joshua, was this your first experience with lean or syrup juice?
No, sir, no.
Do you know what it is supposed to do?
Yeah,
Do you know what it's supposed to taste like?
correct.
When someone buys drugs, do they buy it with let's just talk about you. Do you buy it with the expectation that you're going to get a certain response from it?
Yes, I do.
So when I guess that's another way to phrase it is, what Mr. First asked you, were you worried about the purity, right?
100%, yes, I was.
You wanted something that was going to get you high, right?
Objection, leading judge.
Yeah, you're leading.
Did you want it to have a certain effect on you?
Yes,
If you didn't think it was going to have that effect on you, would you still pay full price for it?
no, I wouldn't pay for it at all.
Is that unusual in any way?
Yes, it is.
In what way?
If you're going to buy something, just like with anything else, you expect it to work a certain way, you expect it to function a certain way. Well, I expect that to make me feel a certain type of way.
So is it unusual in your experience that people expect to get what they pay for?
Exactly.
Is that what you expected that night?
Yes, sir.
To your knowledge, do you believe that Davon's mother knew at the time that he sold drugs?
Neither one of his parents, no, sir.
What was your desire, if you had one, in terms of his parents finding out what y'all were doing?
My desire to that effect would be his parents knew what was going on, to the fact to where they wouldn't be blind to the fact of me even coming over to their house, because they didn't even know I was invited over to their house late that night.
Were you trying not to get him in trouble with his parents?
I was.
Did Cortez take the Ford Fusion key from you?
Yes, he did.
Did you understand Detective Bratley to say that the Ford Fusion key was found in the Ford Fusion?
I did.
Was that after Cortez took it from you?
Correct.
Did you ever give Cortez permission to drive that car?
Not one time.
Did you give Cortez permission to wear your clothes?
Never would I, no.
When was the last time you had seen this hoodie before this robbery happened?
After I bought it in Maryland, I wore it on the plane coming back to Georgia.
Okay.
And I got in the car and took it off and had it in the passenger seat with me. There was no need for it because it's warmer here.
And that's my question. In mid-May of last year, was there a difference in temperature between Baltimore and Atlanta?
Big difference.
Was it warmer up there or colder?
Way colder than it was here.
Was it hoodie weather up there?
Yes, hoodie, jacket weather to be exact.
When you got back down here, was it still hoodie weather?
No, sir.
Where, if anywhere, what did you do with that hoodie once you got in the car?
I took it off. Where I was sitting in the front seat, I just took it off. I took my arms out and it was just sitting behind me at that point. And when I got out of the car at the gas station at the beginning, I was actually sitting on top of it.
Did you leave it in the car?
Yes, I did.
Did you leave Cortez in the car?
Yes, I did.
Did you tell Cortez that it was okay to wear your hoodie?
No,
Did you tell Cortez to come and rob Davon?
no,
Did you have any involvement in the robbery at all, other than being a victim?
no.
Thank you.
Further questions?
You have heard some jail tapes today and some folks mentioned named Poncho and Star, correct?
Correct.
And you actually know who we're talking about? You know these people? Poncho and Star, correct?
I know of one of them, yes.
Well, you admitted in the past that you had talked to Poncho.
Your Honor, I'm going to object. I apologize. Can we approach?
All right.
Mr. First filed the motion in limine that the third statement, that it cannot come in at all. I have not brought anything in about the statement in accordance with the ruling on this motion, but he's now asked several times about statements that were made in the third statement that he's moved to suppress. So if he doesn't want the statement in, he shouldn't be asking questions about statements made within that interview.
Judge, I made the motion to keep it out during the case in chief until and unless the defendant testified. I'm asking simple questions about people we know from the evidence are Cortez's people, and he's telling us something that's different than what he's told the police before. I mean...
Judge, the questions about the people are one thing. Then he goes ahead and said, haven't you told the police? In the context of an interview, the state has moved to be suppressed. So are we going to suppress it or not?
It's now a prior inconsistent statement from what he's now testified to. You can't get up and say different things and expect people not to call you on it.
I will let you ask him if he knows Poncho. Is that the question?
Well, I can't remember exactly what he said. I'm sorry.
Well, you can ask him which one.
With all due respect, that's not my recollection. You told the police is what was said.
If he says something different than what there is a recording of, it's prior inconsistent statement. I mean, if he says something consistent with what he said in the past, then I don't get to use it. You can't say different stories and expect people not to call you on it.
I will let you ask him.
Judge, the agreement then is that the statement can be brought in. That third statement?
Judge, I'm just asking about one thing out of a 31-minute...
I'm saying you can't do that. You can't just ask about the part I like and suppress everything else. It's fair game or it is not.
All I'm ruling on is you can ask him if he knows Poncho or Star. That's all I'm saying.
Let me back up. Do you know Poncho?
I know of Poncho, yes.
Have you ever talked to him before today?
Before today,
Yeah.
yes.
And it was after Cortez got arrested. Am I correct?
No,
It was before Cortez got arrested?
yes.
What about this girl, Star? Do you know her?
No, sir.
Have you ever talked to her?
No, sir.
Okay. So tell us how you know Poncho.
Through his brother Anthony, through Cortez's brother Anthony. They were all together one day at Cumberland Mall. This is when I met Devon. The same day I met Devon, those people were with me.
So would you say Poncho and Cortez are pretty good friends?
I couldn't tell you that. I can't evaluate their relationship or friendship.
Besides knowing Anthony Maple, the brother of Cortez, before all this happened, do you also knew at least one other friend of Cortez's before that night, and that's Pancho, right?
Right.
That's all.
May your client come down?
Please.
All right, call your next witness.
May I have a moment to confer?
Sure.
Thank you, Your Honor. Defense rests.
All right, defense rests. Any rebuttal?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, could you take the jury out a moment, please? What do y'all want to do next?
We were given what I believe is kind of a rough statement of which charges we need to talk about. I can go ahead and do the charge conference if everybody else is.
Sure.
Or I'm prepared to break for today and do that tomorrow, whatever you want.
Well, I've got to check my phone and see if I have to leave at 5 or not. If I have to leave at 5, I only have 15 minutes. Let me check on something. I could send them home, and I tell you what, let's take a brief recess and let me figure out what I'm doing. Let's just take a brief recess. All right, let me talk to y'all a minute about what we're going to do. I can't stay more than about 10 after 5, so should I tell them to be back at 9 or 9:15? What do y'all think?
Probably 9:15.
Judge, I don't think we're going to have a real lengthy charge conference,
I don't either.
but I think it's going to take more than 15 or 20 minutes just to go through and see what we're doing. Given what I've seen of the states, I don't think there's a lot of disagreement. We will have to tailor. I've requested defendant's failure to testify, which I will withdraw that. There is a few I'm going to have to tweak, and there may be one more that I want to add if I can look at it overnight.
Okay, why don't we do this? I will just tell them to be back at 9:15, and then they will be ready by 9:30, the way they have been going all week. Why don't we meet at 9? I'm flipping through this, and it doesn't look like it will take any time at all. I have a book that I stick everything in, so it looks pretty. Do you know off the top, Mr. Moore, anything that you, bless you,
Thank you.
that you just adamantly object to on the states, or do you just want to look at it overnight and be ready to go at 9 tomorrow?
It seems to me that everything Mr. First filed was patterns.
Yeah.
I don't recall seeing anything that I had that I might object to number 6, conspiracy.
Okay.
Everything else looks like it's straight out of the pattern. Well, that is straight out of the pattern too, but I don't know that it's tailored to the facts.
Why don't we do this? Let's meet at 9, and I will tell them to be back at 9:15, and we can go from there. If y'all will look over everything tonight and see if you want to add anything. It doesn't look like it's much to argue over. You guys are in the ball game, so it doesn't look like anything that's going to take a long time. Let me get the jurors back in. Ladies and gentlemen, the evidence is now closed. There will be no other evidence. And I think what I will do is go ahead and excuse you for today. I need to work with the lawyers a little bit longer on getting together my charge. If you remember, when I first was talking to you, I said that we would have evidence, and then the lawyers could give a closing argument, and then my charge I would give you, and then it would be your case for deliberations and your verdict. So I need to do a little bit more work with the lawyers on the charge, the law that I'm going to give you after the closing arguments. So why don't you come back tomorrow at 9:15? Come to the jury assembly room downstairs at 9:15. This is really important now. Please don't discuss this case with your family or friends. You know, like say, for example, what do you think about this or that, or how do you think I should vote and that kind of thing. Just put it out of your mind tonight. Please don't discuss it among yourselves as you're walking to the parking lot. Don't discuss it in the morning when you get here. The time for you to discuss everything will be when I ask you to go to your jury room and begin your deliberations. So just put it out of your mind. Don't do any research on anything. Just give your mind a rest tonight. And then in the morning when you get here, the case will be with you for your deliberations and your verdict. So with that in mind, those instructions, I will ask you to be sure you have your name on your notepads. Give your notepads to the bailiffs so they can lock them up for you and secure them overnight. And I will ask you to be downstairs at 9:15, and we will be ready to go shortly thereafter. I may have a few things to do. We will see if you can get here at 9:15. I will see you in the morning at 9:15. Anything that needs to be put on the record for the state,
No, Your Honor.
for the defense?
One thing we need to clarify tomorrow is the outstanding ruling on States 25 and what we need to do. I would like to not take that up tonight. We've been given case law.
The transcript you're talking about?
Yes, but it needs to be clarified before we close so we know what we can say.
Yeah. Ms. Fudger found the case on point. So if you could use that as your guide and redact the portions that you need for your closing arguments. And if you could, look over the charges, the requests of charge, and see if you see anything that you would disagree about or if you want to add anything. And I will see you at 9 in the morning. We're in recess.
Somehow, that's a repeat of one we have already done. So, if you have already turned it in,